Well, hello and good evening. Welcome once again to our favorite time of the year. Yes, it's me, Email the Elf, bringing your favorite man and lady back to your living room. It's time to talk with Santa Claus and, of course, Mrs. Claus as well. Welcome back, everybody.
It's great to be here.
Great to be here, Email. We look forward to it every year.
I
We just can't wait to get here to say hi to all the girls and boys.
I have a little bit of an in here at Waycross Community Media, and I'm very thankful to be able to say, can we come on down? Because I know everybody all around loves when we make an appearance. So when we can take over the studio, it's a lot of fun and a lot of inside scoops from the North Pole, as well as what's important on those naughty and nice list.
Very true.
That's really important, Email. We have to make sure that all the children know that it's important to be good all year long and to do what your parents say and to be nice to people.
Well, before we get any further, it's time to do my favorite part, other than reading emails, is to open that phone line for you. If you're watching us tonight on the 29th of November, I know we're a little early, but if you're watching tonight, 825-3971 is our phone number, and Santa@waycross.org is our email. We're going to get to every email, every phone call, and it's a show all about you and for you. So, now that we've got everything open, we've had a pretty big 365 since the last time we came down here, didn't we?
Boy, it's been tremendous. We've been busy all year and the whole world is just ready for Christmas.
Well, I hope so, considering that we have less than, what are we at, about 25, 26 days to go?
26 days sounds real good, Email.
Well, I don't know. I haven't been up to the main house in a while. How's it been, Mrs. Claus? I mean, I know you've been busy in the kitchen and making those cookies because we can smell them down there.
Yeah, but everything is going smoothly, and all the elves that work with the toys, they tell me everything is fine. They'll have all the toys ready for us on Christmas Eve.
I can't wait, and I know that I've been busy making sure that all of the emails are ready. That's why I saved quite a few for here tonight. I know that you've been reading them throughout the last few months, making sure that the list is correct. We'll talk about the list, we'll talk about the sleigh, we'll talk about all of our friends up in the North Pole. But I want to start with an email that I got from a good friend of ours here. And Jonathan and his children have brought back yet another list. We had him give us a few things last year, and this year, no exception. We're going to start with Allie. She's the eldest. She's 11 this year. And she does ask, Santa, do you remember all of the kids' letters that have written you over the years?
Well, it's hard sometimes to remember the ones from years and years ago, but every year when we get lots and lots of letters, we try to remember all of them as far back as we possibly can. Mrs. Claus a lot of times gives me a lot of help to remember what's going on.
I know she's a big help because I know that some of before I started and these little things came into play, everything was all handwritten or in crayon. Now we get emails, but Mrs. Claus used to have a little bit of a book that I could put into these and now archive a few of them now and again.
Those were big books.
Indeed.
And we love the new technology. It really has helped to keep the list straight and to update when the kids move around and everything. It's wonderful.
I like the fact that we get it right away and we don't lose any. We can always come back and always look forward. Allie does have one other question. Do you keep them in a special place? Now, of course, I did say I archived them, so that's one special place to put it. Mrs. Claus did have her book, so we kind of keep them around.
We've got all of the old books around. We just make sure that we keep track of where they're at. They're all labeled and they're all numbered, and we try to make sure that that history stays there. And Email, I know the job and the work that you've done trying to get everything up to date in technology has really been wonderful. How many elves has it taken as helpers for you?
Well, it started out what we thought was going to be rather simple, and we were doing a very simple scan and go, and there was only about 5 of us. We've grown to about 12, but I think we're going to need about 3 more, make it an even, not an even, but a nice 15. 5 for each station, and then I'll be able to go around and make sure everything is okay.
That'll be nice. Just make sure that you get that done.
Indeed. Zachary's going to follow up with his question, and Santa, he says, I've been good this year, but why do sometimes, even when kids ask for presents from you, they might not get what they ask for?
That's really a tough decision, Email. It's hard to figure out exactly how many things you have. We try to keep the elves working so that they can make a lot of toys that are really in demand. But sometimes we have to make substitutions. We don't like to make the substitutions. It's not fun for the children, but hopefully the children will enjoy all of the toys that they receive.
Agreed. Tyler follows up with a question, and he asks the question I always do because I like to find out myself. What do you do for your vacation after Christmas? Of course, that's usually a question I ask because I need to know, maybe not to hide what's going on at the office, but maybe what's going on. Maybe I might join in.
Well, that's a big decision as to what we do every year, but the person that makes the final decision is Mrs. Claus. She works just as hard as anybody does at the North Pole, and she makes sure that everything runs nice and smooth. Usually we try to pick some place it's a lot warmer than it is at the North Pole. And we do that for a lot of different reasons. We have to adjust to the different climates that are around. Mrs. Claus, do you think you have a place picked this year?
I certainly have a couple that we can choose from. We always discuss which one will be best for us, and I do have them picked, but I'm not sharing that yet.
I guess that'll be my Christmas surprise.
And then, of course, I'm always asked, well, while you guys are away, what happens with us? Well, we don't want to call it our own vacation, but we do kick back a little. Gives us a little time to rest. We don't normally leave the toy shop too often. I say too often.
I don't know that I hear all the stories every year of the things that the elves do when Mr. and Mrs. Claus are away. So sometimes it's maybe a little better off that I don't know everything. But I know some of the elves really have a good time.
Well, there was that one time Ralph did go through the wrapping process, and well, we'll just leave it at that. And then, of course, Tyler does continue on with, my favorite song for Christmas is Christmas in the Caribbean by Jimmy Buffett. Do you like to go to the islands like in the song? We know Mrs. Claus loves her music.
Yes.
That is important to her. So do you like, for those who haven't been watching or aren't familiar with your musical tastes, we love to hear it down in the workshop. So anything new musically for you, Mrs. Claus?
No, I still love the old big band sounds. I still love rock and roll. I love country. There's not really any music that I don't like. And, you know, as far as the islands, we do like to go, like you said, because it is very much warmer. And I like to do that for at least a week after Christmas.
And I think Mrs. Claus hit it right on the head when she says we like all types of music. You have to make sure that you get your likes spread out over a lot of different things, and that way you can share it with people that have likes and dislikes. The elves, sometimes you hear them arguing what radio station we playing today, what music we playing today. But it doesn't last long because they all agree we'll play one type, then we'll play another type.
And for those of us who don't necessarily play well with music with others, they put their earbuds in. But I won't mention anything, Sam. I'm talking to you.
That's very good.
But it also brings up questions of you're talking about likes and dislikes and varying climates and varying music. Obviously, that's something that you have to go through a lot because you experience so many different things from so many different children.
Well, that's right. All over the world we have different cultures and we have different types of people. And every culture is a little bit different, so you have to make sure that you do things to make those people happy. Christmas is not just about gift giving and having a good time, partying all the time. It's about showing your respect for other people, and the best way you can do that is to show respect for everybody's culture.
Agreed. And going along with the cultures, do you find that different treats are left in different cultures? I mean, we always know about the cookies, and we love our cookies, but I'm sure that somewhere else they may not be leaving cookies for you.
We get cookies pretty much all over the world, but a lot of times we'll get nuts, we'll get candy, we'll get hard candy, soft candy, chocolates. Oh man, do we get a lot of chocolate. And it's just a wonderful thing. So each culture has different things that they like to leave for Santa.
And with, of course, leaving things for Santa, some children are known to leave things for the reindeer. Do you find that that changes, or is it a traditional carrot now and again?
Well, the reindeer get a lot of carrots. They get some corn. They get a lot. They like apples a lot. They really enjoy the apples. But for the most part, we get a lot of carrots and we get a lot of prepared reindeer food. I don't know what's in the reindeer food, but the reindeer sure like it.
Well, I won't tell Mandy about that. You know, she is our main elf in the stable, but she has been trying to keep organic as best as she can. So we're just warning you.
Yes.
But to round off the children of the Johnson household, we do have Emma, and she is 5. And my favorite reindeer is Cupid. Do you have a favorite reindeer?
Well, you know, Santa doesn't necessarily have a favorite reindeer. He has a lot more than 8 reindeer plus Rudolph. So it's hard to play favorites. And I think, you know, that carries over to a lot of things you do. If you play favorites with the elves or you play favorites with the reindeer, they just don't seem to like that. Sometimes they rebel.
Well, we did have those few times, but that was only because they were looking for attention. That's all it was. They're not working with us anymore. It's okay. And then, of course, Emma does say, I've been good. Do you think I can get presents from you this year?
Well, I'd like to think that we can give presents to every child this year. So, Emma, there's always a chance that you're going to get something, and it probably will be something that you like.
And then Dad likes to round off, as always, Santa, the Christmas spirit is something that brings joy to many. When you are having a less than perfect year and it seems to keep getting harder and harder, how can I rekindle that spirit inside myself to bring the joy to myself and my children during this season?
Well, that's a hard thing to do every year. It's important, though, that you stick together as a family unit and that you try to do things together. Pick something that you haven't done in a long time at Christmas and try to make that your project for this Christmas year. And hopefully it'll rekindle the spirit. Mrs. Claus, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, I think in the spirit of Christmas, if you can do something nice for somebody else every day that you are able to, it gives you the real spirit of Christmas, just doing something for someone else.
And I think I see a lot of that as well. A lot of the emails that I've read this year in particular have not been asking for something concrete or tangible, like I need a new iPad or I need this. That's like, could you give me something? I would like just a present. And I think that's something that we're starting to see a big shift in. So maybe the spirit of Christmas is changing a little bit?
I sure hope that it's changing. It keeps getting better every year. One of Santa's favorite sayings is, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. All it takes is a little bit of time.
Well, we do want to thank the Johnson family for always bringing a little bit of joy here on the show tonight. And if you'd like to bring a little joy to your home and to ours, 825-3971 is the phone number. Santa@waycross.org is the email. It's right down there. You can follow along. Join in tonight, and we will have an enjoyable evening. So, of course, the questions always come out. Why the North Pole, Santa? That is one question I get in the emails and the letters all the time. Why did you choose there? Why not a good island or something?
Well, there's a couple of good reasons for that email. Santa happens to be allergic to penguins, and they're at the South Pole, so we didn't pick the South Pole, but we like the North Pole for several reasons. The most important reason is that the temperature is always the same up there. It's nice and cold. We keep warm with our fires and our things that help us stay warm. But the nice thing is that there's no distraction up there. When you're up at the North Pole, you're trying to work and you're trying to get things done, and not a whole lot of people want to come to the North Pole to visit you, especially in the wintertime.
You know, we always say that it's such a wonderful time of the year and everybody loves the snow, but that's the first thing they say. I don't like the snow anymore. And so it is kind of a nice little getaway for us that we can kind of hide away and not have to worry. But everyone says, well, why do we have to make it a secret? Why can't we come and visit you? I'll tell you one reason you can't come and visit me, because I am so busy. You do not want to see my work area.
Well, that's the main reason. Everybody is so busy, and they couldn't deal with all the distractions that they would have if a whole lot of people came to visit. And then there's the magic thing about Christmas time, that what you can't see makes you think. It makes you think about the things that you really, really should think about.
Mrs. Claus, are you still working on playing the organ upstairs?
Oh, yes, definitely. I still love the organ, yeah.
We hear it every once in a while, and we hadn't heard it for a while, and we were hoping that wasn't just a passing fad like Pokemon.
No, it was a while that I did not play because of being so busy with planning. And now that we're all caught up, I'm starting to play all my Christmas songs again.
Well, we look forward to that, especially in the coming weeks, especially during that last rush. You know, Santa, you had asked me, you know, since you have all your ins and get yourself in here, do you get nervous? And I'm like, no, I love talking to all of the children and everybody who's watching. Santa, do you get nervous in getting ready for your big day?
Well, Email, I think it's natural for people to be nervous, especially when they're trying to talk and communicate with thousands and thousands of people. I think you have to keep one thing in mind, though. You're here to make people happy, and if you're making people happy, then it helps make the nerves go away.
Agreed. And of course, if you want to make us nervous, you can call. No, it's not making us nervous. It's making us smile. 825-3971, Santa@waycross.org. We have all your questions answered. Ask a question to Santa, ask a question to me, or ask for something on your wish list. Maybe it's something that Santa doesn't realize that you need or want. That's a good question. The difference between need and want. I see that a lot because there's a lot of differences in a lot of letters. We like, well, I need this and I need that, but I really want this. Does that make a difference on going on the naughty and nice list?
I don't think it makes a difference going on the naughty and nice list, but I think when Mrs. Claus reads those letters, she has the sense of knowing which letters are really, really heartfelt type letters. I think, you know, there are a lot of people in the world that do need things. There are people that don't have shoes. There are people that don't have jackets. There are people that need a lot of basic things to stay alive. And then there are people that just want everything. They have all the basic needs, so they want everything. And Mrs. Claus, how do you do the letters? How can you tell? Is there just a sixth sense there?
Yeah, there's some instinct when you're reading, and they kind of let themselves be known in their letters because of their wording. And it's easier to see if there's someone that really, really does need something, or is it just, I want this. But
one of the things we've noticed this year, there are a lot of the children that haven't gotten their letters in yet. We've got lots and lots of letters already, but we sure don't think that we've got letters from every child that wants to write something to Santa Claus. And even if you don't have something that you wish you could get for Christmas, you can write Santa a letter or Mrs. Claus a letter and just tell us what you want to do for Christmas.
As you saw, you know, we had a dad already wishing us happy holidays and wanting to know something. And I hear this awful thing called the age of not believing. Don't believe it. Just don't believe it. Stay away. But why? Why would someone decide that it's that we're not existent? We're here. We still believe.
Well, let me tell you, as far as the elves and Mrs. Claus and all the reindeer, Santa is alive and well. And he's been alive and well for a lot of years. And we want to keep the spirit of Christmas, and that's Santa's whole purpose, is to keep the spirit of Christmas, of love and friendship together. And that's what it's all about. If you believe in friendship and you believe in your loved ones, then it's easy to believe in Christmas.
I did get a small question here from Nate, and he asks, obviously, we don't get to celebrate Christmas because you're busy on Christmas. When do we get to celebrate Christmas?
Well, as soon as Santa and Mrs. Claus leave town, getting back to what we were talking about before, the elves celebrate. They've got a lot of their work done by Christmas Eve or the day before Christmas, except for loading the sleigh. So I think they have a little bit of gift exchanges and a little bit of love for each other during that Christmas Eve and the day before. Now, do you have a little time a day before Christmas?
Usually not before Christmas, because again, we want to make sure that everything goes right for you, because it's more important that everybody else has a beautiful, wonderful day than for us, because like you said, after Christmas is when we can take that breath and say thank you, to all of our workers and friends and family. And like you said, it's a good way to take that deep breath, and multiple breaths, you know.
We'd like to breathe.
You have to. And that way, we're ready come January 1. We can start anew. And you guys are out enjoying wherever that may be.
Email, I have a question for you.
Sure, Santa.
You a lot of times refer to me as the big man.
True.
Can you tell me when that all started?
Well, that started back when I started myself. And as most of you can see, I'm not a very tall individual. Santa is a tall individual. It's not big for any other reason other than the fact that he's much bigger than me in stature and in his position at the North Pole.
And I've learned to really, really like being called the big man. That makes me happy.
You are definitely the man we look up to in more ways than one.
Thank you, Email.
Thank you, Santa, for asking. And of course, you know, Mrs. Claus, we look up to you as well. You are taller than us as well, but we look up to you for the wonderful things that you do. You make sure this man is ready on that special day, and you make sure that every scent is so readily available to smell outside the workshop, outside the stables, because trust me, you don't want to be in a scent with inside the stables. And then, of course, we have all the wonderful treats that you leave as a thank you to all of us as well.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. And of course, thank you for joining us as well. We're not done because we still have emails and questions to ask and answer of you. 825-3971, santa@waycross.org. Don't be shy. It's just Santa and Mrs. Claus and me. Email the elf. So Santa, I've been trying to make a couple spreadsheets on the it toy for this year. For girls and for boys, is there any specific toy that we're looking at? Because I know when I'm looking at it, I'm seeing a lot of things that are very universal, a lot of science related, a lot of computer related. But are you seeing some toys that maybe I'm missing that everyone's like, that's the one I gotta have?
Well, I don't know about any specific toys or names of toys. Mrs. Claus might have some to add, but what I want to really emphasize is the toys that children would like to receive, the learning type toys, are really, really a lot of fun to make and put together. Those toys bring a lot of warmth to Santa's heart because he knows that the children are trying to better themselves and look at something that they might want to work into in the future. Mrs. Claus, are there any specific toys that you can remember?
Well, there's a lot of toys that let the children be creative, and that they just seem to enjoy very much. The boys, on the one hand, seem to like those action figures and all the good guys, you know, Batman and Robin and Superman and all the heroes. And the girls still seem to like the dolls and nurseries and some big nurseries, playing doctor with the dolls and making them better, using stethoscopes and things like that. So it's a very creative process. All the toys have something to give.
I agree with all of the making and doing type of toys. I know that I've seen Albert and friends playing along with the science stuff, and I get a little jealous because there they are making little robots and radios, and I'm reading emails, and I'm like looking over. Now, the ones that, of course, get my attention are always the video games, and that's a little bit of a weakness for me. But I'm noticing a lot of things that are very scientific, going into back to the chemistry kits. And I remember those old chemistry kits that you used to have us make many, many years ago. Those were a lot of fun. And now we're seeing a lot of resurgence of older toys.
Well, I can remember one that goes way back. I remember the Erector Sets. The Erector Sets were very, very popular.
I thought you were going to say Lincoln Logs.
Years ago. And Lincoln Logs
Still are.
were very popular too. But, you know, those toys, they're still coming around, but they're different materials now. They're not the metal sticks and the wooden sticks. There's a lot of plastics and a lot of composite material that they're using. So the technology has really gone into the toy business now and going into the toys that the children want. But we have definitely seen an increase in the demand for scientific type tools, or scientific type toys, I should say. And one thing that it's on my list every year, I think every child should ask for at least one book, if not more. Books are the best thing in the world.
They are a great, and I'm sure you both sit on the beach when you're at your special island with your special book in hand. Mm-hmm. I have a very unique question here that I've been thinking about. Is I get a lot of emails, and they're usually very, very traditional. I would like this, my mommy needs this, or things like that. What do you think is the most unique request you've ever received?
Let me think about that just for a second.
Sure.
I think one time a little girl asked for a special type of mat for her little brother to sleep on. And I don't know exactly all the particulars, but she wanted this mat because he needed it to get a good night's sleep. And we were able to get that mat, and hopefully it worked out. So that was one of the unique things that we've ever done. Sometimes people ask for outlandish stuff that just probably just won't ever happen. It's not a gift, that's a dream.
Yeah,
That's a dream.
I always laugh at the emails that says, "Dear Santa, I want $1 million." And I look at it and I go, I want $1 million too, but that's not going to happen this Christmas, is it?
Mrs. Claus, in reading all the letters, do you remember any special requests?
No, I think the requests that come in for asking for something for someone else, I really, really enjoy those letters, and we jump right on those because it's something that they're looking to help somebody else that needs something.
We are halfway through our time here on November 29th, 2017. You are watching Talking with Santa with Email the Elf, and of course with Santa and Mrs. Claus. If you'd like to join in with all of the fun that we're having, 825-3971 or santa@waycross.org will answer all of your questions. And I've got the biggest question right here. Get your pens and papers ready, guys, because this is important. The naughty and nice list. When did it come about, and how can someone better themselves on the naughty and nice list?
The naughty and nice list has been around for a long time, and everybody thinks that when you get on the naughty list, it's impossible to get off the naughty list. But I think it's just an incentive for you to try to do things that are nicer and things that reflect more of your love for people and love for your family. So if you're on the naughty list, or you think you're on a naughty list, just remember, be nice to everybody, and that gets you on the nice list. The exact time that it came about, I can't remember. But some people think it's a threat, but in reality, it's an encouragement. It's not a threat for kids to get better. It's an encouragement for them to try to do nicer things.
Now, Mrs. Claus, I know that we talked about having Christmas, and of course you're not on the naughty list.
No.
None, see. But I know that we were talking about spending time together and Christmas together. Obviously, the trip away is kind of your gift to each other, but is there something special, a gift that you give Santa over the holidays?
Well, what Santa wants is to have peace and joy around the world, and people loving one another. So that's not, I don't give him gifts. I think we just pray that we will have peace.
I like every bit of that. Of course, most kids are always waiting up for you, and they're trying to sneak that peek. Has there ever been an encounter that someone's actually made that capture, that they've seen you, they saw you going up the chimney or out the door or stealing a cookie?
I don't recall ever being caught in the action of delivering the toys, but there's a lot of children that say that they've seen Santa Claus, and they say that they've seen the sleigh and the reindeer, but I don't think there's any proof that they've actually seen it. And they can tell their friends, but unless there's 2 or 3 people that see it at the same time, there's not a whole lot of proof. Santa's very, very careful not to get detected when he's doing his job.
We were talking about Mandy in the stables just recently, and how we're trying to go a little more organic for the animals. We've tried to make some changes up there, but I know that we've had a little bit of an instance where the reindeers were reverting back to, as the song goes, with the names and everything else. Why are the reindeer being so challenging, I think is the word, to Rudolph, especially in these day and age?
I think that's a natural challenge for the other reindeer to want to be as good as Rudolph. Rudolph's about as good as they come, and all of the other reindeers want to be as good as Rudolph, and some of them think that they can get up there by calling him names or doing things that they shouldn't do. But sooner or later, they all realize that the only way to get better is to work harder and harder. And we don't have a lot of scrimmages with the reindeer. They're pretty good about doing their jobs. And Santa, you only hear about Santa's 8 famous reindeer. You never hear about the other thousands and thousands that help do things. I mean, those 8 reindeer, they can pull that sleigh a long time. But sometimes the other reindeer have to step in and help a little bit. So they all get their chance to show their thing.
Well, speaking of getting their chance to show off here on the show, we've got Noah on the phone. Noah, are you there?
Yeah.
Hi, Noah. You're age 5?
Hi.
We need to hear him a little bit better. He's kind of low on the...
Oh, sorry.
Are you there, Noah?
Yeah. Can you hear him?
We need to have a little bit more volume so Santa can hear you.
Say, yeah. I'm here. Nice and loud. I'm here. Nice and loud.
It looks like Santa... We're going to try to work on you here, Noah, but it looks like you want some Batman toys?
Say yes? Yes. Hi, Mr. Claus. Mr. Claus. It is Mrs. Claus, James. Why? Why is Mrs. Claus? Where are you?
Well, we're having a little bit of difficulty hearing you, Noah. We're going to work on... I think I can hear a little bit of you now. Noah, are you there?
Yeah.
There you are.
That's better, Noah.
All right, here's Santa. Why don't you talk to him? He'll be able to help you out.
You have a question for Santa, Noah?
What? Where are you?
I'm here at the television station. There I am. Can you see me now?
No.
Okay, Noah, what's your question?
I wish I had a way that's called Bat Box.
No.
Little Bat Box toy.
The Bat Box toy.
Yeah.
Noah, were you at the zoo the other day?
Were you at the zoo? Yeah.
Yeah. Did you talk to one of my helpers at the zoo?
What?
Did you talk to one of my helpers at the zoo?
Yeah.
And what did you tell him?
He told me what I wanted for Christmas.
When you told him you wanted a Batbot, what did he tell you?
That's cool. Didn't know if he had the part. He said he didn't know if he had the part yet.
Well, I talked to that helper, and that helper told me all about what you said, and we checked all of the parts up at the North Pole, and we have enough parts to make a Batbot.
You do?
Yes, we do. Do you think that's what you might want for Christmas?
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a good chance that we'll have enough parts to make one of those for you at Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh, so
Well, I'm
happy.
glad you're happy, Noah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Noah, do you have a brand new little sister?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's her name?
Alexia. Alexia.
I can't hear you, Noah, but I'm sure
It's
she. I'm
Alexia.
sure.
It's Alexia.
Alexia?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, now I can hear. Sometimes Santa needs a little help. He's hard of hearing.
That's why he has Mrs. Claus and me.
What?
Is there anything else you want to ask Santa?
Is it cold there at the North Pole? Because when we dropped that little, it was really cold. It was cold.
It's really cold at the North Pole, but right here tonight in the television studio, it's nice and warm and toasty.
That's good.
Well, Noah, thank you for calling. Do you have any other questions?
I think that's it.
Okay. Does your mommy or daddy or your brothers or sisters have anything to say?
James, you want to say hi to Santa? Say hello.
Hello, Santa.
Hi, how are you?
What are you doing?
What do you do?
I'm sitting here talking to you. I'm on television, but I'm talking to you.
Why?
Yeah. Because this is what Santa Claus does. He talks to children. Can you see me on the television?
Don't say hi to me.
He's right there. He's talking to you.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool? Say, we can't wait to see you, Santa.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait to see you too.
All right. Bye, guys. Merry Christmas.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Mrs. Claus.
Merry Christmas, Angel. We love you.
Love you.
Well, as you can see, it's that easy to give a call here in the studio, 825-3971. We've got all the other technical elves working on all technical problems, so everything will be just fine when you're ready to make that call, 825-3971, or santa@waycross.org. That's why I have my work with me.
Email, who you think that was that messed up the phone? Was that Lightning?
Well, it could be him, but I'm wondering if it's Tesla. I know he's been pretty. We'll put him on the naughty list, but we'll talk about that later.
We'll get it straightened out.
Indeed. So we were busy talking about the reindeer, and most people would ask why reindeers? Why not? With all the technology that's been going on, why not change up the sleigh a little bit?
Well, email, there are only several animals that live in the North Pole, and reindeer happen to do well in the North Pole. We have, I think, we have walrus, we have polar bears,
A couple seals.
we have seals, we have a few other things, but the only thing that could really keep up with the reindeers running would be the polar bears. And there just aren't as many polar bears as there are reindeer, and sometimes the polar bears get too demanding. They just expect too much. So we've used reindeers for all these years, and we're going to stick with reindeer.
Well, it's better than horsepower, some may say, and we've seen plenty of good things come from them. One question that I get asked a lot is the beard. Now, obviously, I'm kind of taking your lead. I'm looking up to you. And one day, maybe mine will be just as majestic as yours. But what made you decide to get it? And how do you keep it so wonderful?
Well, the beard's been a trademark of Santa Claus for just years and years and years. So it's a thing that you have to keep. You can't shave it off. If you shaved it off, then it wouldn't be the mystique that you see in Santa Claus. It's easy to keep it nice, and it stays nice and white because the cold air up in the North Pole makes it white. That plus the fact that I've been around a long time doesn't hurt either to make it white. It helps it.
Well, I'm glad to know that it wasn't the stress of us elves putting it all on you, right, Mrs. Claus?
No, that wouldn't happen, no.
We also learn that, the beard is always the mystique. The name is always the mystique. And I see a lot of things that come in here that say Santa, Santa Claus, Kris Kringle. You go by a lot of names. Is that due to culture, or is that just something that has been scattered throughout time?
Well, that has, like you said, a lot to do with the cultural aspect of the country that you're living in. And there are different names. There's Saint Nick, there's Kris Kringle, there's Father Christmas, and in the U.S. it's mostly Santa Claus. But they all mean the same thing. They all mean the guy with the white beard. The big guy.
Well, we like to call you the big, well, at least I like to call you the big guy. Mrs. Claus, I know you see Santa more often than we do because, he does leave us to our work, but when he needs something done or is got some new things to tell us, he's always there. So you see him a lot. Is he always as jolly and friendly and just a wonderful individual all the time?
He certainly is. He's just always happy and wanting to be happy and spread the joy of the spirit of giving.
I bet you her cooking doesn't hurt either, does it?
Well, I'll tell you what, if Santa gets a little concerned about some of the things that are going on, all he has to do is walk into the kitchen and smell the dinner or smell the cookies, and boy, it sure changes his attitude real fast. Santa just loves to eat.
Now, with you eating a lot, there's always health concerns. Are you worried, Mrs. Claus?
No, we're trying to stay, like you said, with the organic things. We're all trying to be better with our diets, and I think it's helping Santa. It doesn't look like it, but he is losing some weight.
Well, and that's good because that helps you go down the chimneys, right?
That's right. You can eat all the green beans you want, you can eat all the lettuce you want, and it doesn't put the pounds on your belly. It's just those sweets and chocolates that I'm allergic to that sometimes get me in trouble.
But we all kind of like them, though, don't we?
We certainly do.
Do you have a particular cookie that you prefer? Since we were talking about treats earlier.
My favorite cookie is all of them.
I'm sure that doesn't make your job any easier, Mrs. Claus, when he has a hankering for something, does he?
Oh, whatever he likes, he knows that I will make it for him because I said I want to keep him happy too because he really is a wonderful man.
Well, Mrs. Claus, what about you? What cookies do you like?
Chocolate chip, I believe, is my favorite. And I try to not make too many of those because I know if they're there, I will eat them.
Santa has to be really careful when he's dressed up in his best suit because if he eats chocolate chip cookies and gets them on his white fur, just doesn't look good. So Mrs. Claus doesn't let Santa wear this fancy suit all the time. Sometimes he has to wear his real work clothes.
And this is true. He does have some work clothes out there, those very sporty suspenders going on, and because we do have to make sure that suit is very pristine. There are at least 10 elves that take care of the suit alone, 2 for the boots on their own, and they require a lot of care. Obviously, it keeps you warm. What about those climates that don't get to see a beautiful white Christmas, so to speak?
Well, you know, Email, when you get into the climates that are a lot warmer than it is at the North Pole, then you just have to make adjustments. Sometimes you might open your collar a little bit, or sometimes you might let the wind blow up your sleeves when it's nice and hot, but you have to be very careful. You always have to look good in your red and white suit. You always have to look good just in case a child is able to see you, which hasn't happened yet, but you never know.
We talked about, making sure that you get around the world because it is a global night. How difficult is that, or is that just part of the magic?
Well, the magic has a lot to do with that, and the fact that the reindeers almost always travel at supersonic speed. That's why they're so hard to see. The best way to see it is on that NORAD tracker. You can see it on television or you can see it on a computer, but you don't get to see it live. But it's a lot of magic, and sometimes Santa gets a little help.
And we know we need a little bit of help up there, and that's why there are so many of us helping out. Mrs. Claus, you have a lot of help as well, because obviously we need tending to, because sometimes you can't trust us all alone, and that's fair. But what about the other things that you like to do other than your music and in your cooking? There's a lot of other things that you need to take care of too, don't you?
Yes, yes. I do supervise a lot of what the elves are doing. When we have an infirmary, and I go to the infirmary and I visit the sick elves and the sick family members, and so I keep busy with trying to do good works and trying to get around to visit some of the elves' families and see everybody up there.
You bring up a really good question, and that's something I thought about before, about people who aren't in their homes during Christmas, be it in a hospital situation or maybe they're on vacation. How do we take care of a Christmas in that way?
That makes things a little bit harder to do, because you try to know where all the children are all the time. Some of them, unfortunately, end up in the hospital. So as often as possible, if Santa can't get there, he has one of his helpers go into the hospitals and helps visit the children that are in the hospital. Santa just remembers last year, he made a specific stop at one of the local hospitals, and he did that just to see one little girl. And the only way that was possible is Santa had just a few minutes left in that day.
And because your time is very valuable, especially during this time of year. Oh, I think I've got a sneeze coming.
Oh, God bless you.
Bless you.
Oh, excuse me. And I hope I'm not catching a cold, because I need
Well, you got
all
a
the
busy
work I
month
can.
coming up.
I know.
Email.
As you said, there's all the time that we need, and your time is very, very precious. You had made mention about people called helpers. Those people are very special people. How did those helpers get to help you?
Well, the helpers came about because of the fact that the world keeps getting bigger and bigger, and there's more population and more people. And Santa doesn't have any problem on Christmas Eve, because that's the magic time of Christmas. But in the time leading up to Christmas, if children want to talk to Santa Claus and they want to talk to him in person, sometimes they have to talk to a helper instead of Santa Claus. So, and that's why, and it's all in the spirit of giving. The helpers want to make people happy, just like Santa and Mrs. Claus want to do.
When you are busy going wherever it may be, a lot of people wonder, you're going into people's houses. Isn't that illegal? How does Santa get around going into people's houses the right way?
Well, Santa doesn't like to do anything that's illegal. And if you do something that's illegal, sooner or later you're going to get caught. So at Christmas time, everybody knows what Santa does is perfectly legal. He'll go through the doors if he can't get through the chimney. If there's no chimney in the house, sometimes he finds a window that's not open. But his preferred entrance is to come down through the chimney just like he always does. And coming down the chimney is very, very simple. Getting back up the chimney should be a lot more work. But when you put your finger to your nose and nod your head, up you go.
It's true. It's an amazing thing to see. But you also have the consent of many parents as well. That's the important thing. And that's how our network really works, that the parents can talk to us so that we know what's going on with the children.
Well, that's exactly right. The parents are the most important aspect of the family unit. And if the parents stay in touch with Santa Claus and keep us tuned in, then Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus, we know what's going on, and we know that the kids are being right and doing the things that they're supposed to do.
Since we talk to the parents a lot, have you received any phone calls, like a last minute, we got to change it from a naughty to a nice or a nice to a naughty?
I don't think we got any that went from nice to naughty, but occasionally we get some last minute ones that say, hey, little Johnny was been naughty for quite some time, but he's being nice now, and we want you to know that. And the nice thing about it is little Johnny's standing right there when the parents are calling. So Johnny knows that his parents are in touch with Santa.
Do you still bring lists to children if you get a chance to see them and say, I've seen that you have done this, this, and this, and maybe you should be better, a little bit better?
We've done that in the past, but not very often. I think we like to communicate through the parents if we can. And sometimes we get phone calls from the parents and they want us to talk to their children. But that doesn't happen all that often. But we don't specifically go after the children to say, hey, you've been naughty. We try to encourage them in other ways.
When we were talking about a little bit about the age of not believing earlier, but eventually most people become parents and they get to grow up to start making those phone calls. Is it, when it becomes a first-time parent for Christmas, what's the difference between a first-time parent and maybe a parent of that's had children for a number of years?
Well, I'm going to let Mrs. Claus answer that because Mrs. Claus has this natural ability to see the twinkle in the eye of brand new parents.
New parents, every experience they have is something brand new to them. Someone that's had 5 or 6 children, it seems like it becomes a little bit routine. They've seen this before, they've done this before, but a new parent is just like a new child at Christmas. They can't believe how wonderful it is having their own child.
And it brings thoughts back to them of when they were 3 and 4 and 5 and were either afraid of Santa Claus or loved Santa Claus. And when they get, as the children go older, the parents remember how they were at that age.
And you bring up a very good question because I know a little Olivia who's watching, and I know she's probably very shy, but she still has a little bit of a fear of you.
Well, there's no reason to be afraid of Santa Claus. The only reason that children are afraid because they see this big, heavy, fat guy with a beard. And if they only knew how much Santa loved children, they'd never be afraid. And Santa, when he runs into a child that's afraid, he just tries to get their attention and tries to be warm towards them. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't happen till the next year.
Now, you said that you were fat. We don't call you fat. We call you jolly, or you have really good armor. But speaking of having armor, obviously you have those children who are afraid and who might cry, and that's a lot of armor to put on because, Santa, you've got a very big heart. You don't want to see people sad or upset.
Well, Santa makes sure that if that happens and he can tell or sense that the child is afraid, he'll just wave to the child, maybe offer them a candy cane as if their parents are there, or sometimes he even offers to let them hold their bell, hold the bells that he carries. I'd have my bells in here ringing them right now, except for it really makes too much noise for the studio here.
I think we got yelled at last time.
I think we did.
Well, we're running close to the end of our time, so if you have an email, bring it in as quick as possible. We'll answer it as quickly as we can. So that's 825-3971 is the phone number. Real quick. You can get in, get out, or the email, santa@waycross.org. We'll answer the last one. You can be that special someone. Everyone's a special someone during Christmas. You know, is there, other than Mrs. Claus, is there someone special, like an elf that might be, I mean, not that I would pinpoint anybody.
I think I said earlier that it's hard to pick favorites. I can't tell you how important and special Mrs. Claus is to me, but I don't have any special elf or special reindeer that I like more than another one. But one thing I want to make sure is that Santa loves all the children in the world and all of the adults in the world. And Santa's biggest wish is that all of those people can be happy during the holiday season.
That is the most beautiful wish anybody can have. Mrs. Claus, it looks like we're running low. I'll let you, is there anything special, especially this holiday season, that you'd like to wish all the boys and girls and the parents at home?
Yes, since we are talking to the children, I want to remind them just to listen to their parents and to just clean up your room. and do something nice for someone else, for your brother, sister, mommy, or daddy, and be glad that you have a family and mom and dad to take care of you, and just be happy this Christmas. Have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas.
Email, I want to add one thing that usually I say about a half a dozen times every year, but I've been neglecting this year. Children, one of the most important things that you can do is hug your mommy and hug your daddy, and especially hug your grandmas and grandpas, because you never know what's going to happen in the future. Love everybody every day, and then you'll be happy for the rest of your life.
No better words could be said, Santa. Absolutely. You never know when something may happen, and that love is always very, very important. Well, I think we're getting close to the end of our time, so I'm going to wrap it up here, and I want to say thank you to each and every one of you, especially, and I got a list here for you. I want to say thank you to Kyle and Aaron, and Wyatt and Lachlan, and Kara, Corey, Jackson, Jade, Caden, and Jenna. I want to thank, of course, Cody and Jacqueline. And, of course, we can't forget Allie, Zachary, Tyler, Emma, and, of course, her mother and their mother and father, and Nathan and Alicia and Natalie, and everybody else that's out there. Welcome to a new world. Welcome to Merry Christmas. We can say that, right?
Right.
Right,
Merry
Sam?
Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And we'll be back next year to celebrate this wonderful, joyous season. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next year, guys. Bye.